as a new blue wave, galactic wave of photonic light codes that are already beginning to infuse the earth. And we're having this other wave come in. The more information that I'm getting about this is that what's going to be one of the biggest things that's going to be impacted is going to be your intuition. Even if you don't feel like you have an intuitive bone in your body, these lights, these light codes, photonic sparks of light that activate your DNA have a great potential to really elevate your intuitive sensitivity. And I can hear some of you going, oh, but I'm already intuitively sensitive. Well, you're going to become even more intuitively sensitive, but you're going to have an enhanced knowledge and wisdom that goes right along with it that's going to help you to be able to have a perspective about your own intuition in a way that you maybe never did before. So I am doing this kind of 9 levels of intuition. Specifically because we are having these light codes coming to the earth. And so I'm going to give you an expanded point of view. We're going to move beyond just the 4 levels that we've always known. Spirit has really brought through 9 levels of intuition. So let yourself have some fun taking in some new information, and you might be learning that you've always been working with this level of intuition. So the very first thing I'm going to start with is clairsentient, clear feeling. And I would say I'm a psychic teacher, I'm a retired nurse, but just based on working with students for over 20 years now, I would say about 80% of humanity, of the population of the world, leans more towards being an empath and a knower. So we're going to talk about being an empath. So have you ever felt an unexplained rush of emotion, a sudden shift in energy, the moment that you enter into a room? Clear feeling and the art of intuitive feeling are where individuals can perceive and sense and absorb, unfortunately, the emotions and energies of other people and you take those feelings into your body. Now, not all empaths do this. I can consider empaths have a higher level of ability to merge with other people's energy fields. But we're going to improve on all of that as well as we get greater clarity with these new light codes coming in. And it's not just about empathy. It's not just about feeling someone else. It's more profound than that. There's a physical experience of sensations that can come through, such as chills and warmth or heat, or maybe like a heaviness that you feel on your shoulders, on your head, on your hips. And so there's lots of ways that our clear feelings can come through. So the very first one I want to talk about, of course, is the one that really tends to challenge people the most, is feeling other people's feelings. And I always found it interesting that empaths, very sensitive, clear feelers, can often know can take put their finger on the pulse of the emotions in the room. They'll know what everybody is feeling in the room. But if you ask an empath, often they don't know what they are feeling. So I always found that fascinating. And as these light codes are coming in, I just want to give you a heads up. You're going to get a greater depth of feeling than you've ever had before. Not just superficial. It's going to go really deep. And so many of us can experience that moment without a word even being spoken. You can feel the weight maybe of somebody else's sorrows or maybe somebody else's joys. And these emotional currents can go beyond just merely sympathizing with someone else. You can literally physically feel the emotion of someone else. And this can be so intense that it can cause you to have a physical reaction. I was teaching a class once, and we were going to go do these land healings. And in the group, I had a couple of people that were so sensitive that it was really hard for them to be around a lot of other people. And so you may understand what that's like. Well, I took them to a piece of land where there had been like a haunting, for example. So I was teaching them how to do land clearing, house healings, and things like that, how to clear residual energy from a piece of land. And we get to the pathway where we're getting ready to walk up towards this area. And one of the students just fell down to the ground. She had her forehead on the ground and she just started sobbing. She literally could not move. And so I just sat with her for a while and she was just so overwhelmed with grief. Well, she was picking up on the grief in the land, that there had been a lot of people that died on that land and literally were buried on that property. And they had died because there was a physician, a doctor in the 1920s, who said that they could treat anything that ails you if you just give them a lot of money. And it was a woman. And if you just give her a lot of money, and then she would put you on this kind of starvation diet, might do an IV of liquids, but that was it. And so a lot of people never survived that, and she kept their money. So we had one of the students extra sensitive. So I usually will have one or two students. If I take them someplace, I try to kind of give them a heads up that they'll want to ground stronger. And so these feelings can be so intense, it can cause that physical reaction. So we're going to just dive into how those emotional feelings are actually a gift. They're actually a gift that allows you to connect more deeply with others and also requires you to develop stronger, more protective boundaries for yourself to avoid emotional overwhelm. So remember, I was talking about that property, about space. So clear feelers can feel this energy on that property was from the 1920s. I mean, that was over 100 years ago. And yet this student could still feel that. Can you relate to that? Do you find yourself that sensitive? So walking into a room or a building that can feel distinctly kind of supercharged with the imprints of the people that live there. Someone with clear feeling, you may, in an old house, I have a house that's 130 years old, and you may walk in and say, wow, it's just really a lot of nostalgia, a lot of history in the house. You may even be able to feel, if this was the wife of the house's bedroom, or maybe the wife sewed in this other room, or this was the husband's office. Like you can feel as if you're standing in the presence of that memory in real time. And so these past events can really shape how you feel. And when we restored our house, I've got a lot of stories I could share with you about how, if they needed to repair a wall or take down a wall, pull out all the old pipes, it would really stir up a lot of old memories. And we had a lot of contractors who had their own experiences around that. So when you know that you're that sensitive and that you're going into environments that you can prepare yourself, get really grounded, and just send healing energy to the area where you are visiting so that you can feel more protected and supported. So the somatic clairsentient, the physical or somatic clairsentient means that you understand body language. Like, have you ever experienced a chill go up your spine, or you get goosebumps, or suddenly you're like really overwhelmed with heat and with warmth, or a tightness in your chest? These are physical somatic. Somatic is physical experiences that you feel in your body, and you can become quite sensitive. Now, I don't consider myself a clear feeler, although I think that I'm going to have to change that, because I think I have become more sensitive. But I remember it was easily 20 years ago, and someone I had just met came and stood next to me, and suddenly it's like, oh, my right hip, it was aching so bad. And I'm like, what the heck just happened to my hip? Well, I had the foresight to ask the person, hey, could you just kind of move across the room? And they moved across the room and the pain went away. And then I asked them to move closer and the pain came back. And it turned out they had an inguinal hernia and they ended up having to have an operation. So you can see where this could be a real gift for you to be able to maybe pick up things that the individual doesn't even notice for themselves yet. Elemental clairsentience, clear feeling, is where you can really feel nature. Now, I have a story about this as well, and I'm sure that all of you who are very sensitive may notice this. But I was driving along, it was beautiful, beautiful forest, and then suddenly someone else was driving. I was in the passenger seat. I was reading a book. And then suddenly I was just overwhelmed, like stricken with pain and stricken with grief, not in an overwhelming way that was incapacitating, but in a way that it caught my attention. I looked up and we had just moved into a place where they had clear cut all the trees. And, they don't cut the roots. They just go in with a saw and they just cut down all the trees. I could feel the grief of the trees. And so now, ever since then, whenever I notice, like if we had to have a damaged tree that was taken down, I start talking to the tree ahead of time. And then after they take it down, I will seal over the stump. And just like if somebody amputated your arm, right? I will seal it over so that the energy remains in the roots. It can still be a high contributing member of Mother Earth. And so you may be very sensitive. You may notice that there's storms coming even though the sky is clear. Your intuitive senses can feel nature and when nature's talking to you. Again, I believe because the photonic lights are already coming in, these light codes are already coming in. And the other day, it was like I went to a park, and so it's well maintained, but it was like I could see a depth to the trees. I'm a seer mostly, but I could feel like all the different personalities of the tree. So that's what we're talking about. Like, is that grandfather tree talking to you? So you can feel when they're trying to reach out to you to make a connection. And you can have this overwhelming sense of calm even during challenging times, just to go out in nature, stand near the trees, get into a place of calmness. And of course, you can learn how to work with the energies of the room to create a space for you. Detecting energetic imbalances. One of the most practical applications of clear feeling is the realm of healing. And you've already heard me mention that, where you use your sensitivity to detect imbalances, whether it's in yourself or in someone else or another place. This form of intuition is often employed by energy healers, by therapists who work with modalities such as Reiki or acupuncture. I do know, because I'm a nurse working with people, that I could sense there's something else that you want to tell me that you're not saying. And it's because I could feel the energy coming up but getting caught in their throat. I could feel the fullness in my own throat. And there was something else I wanted to say about that, about imbalances. I was walking in the redwood forest. You're just not even going to believe this story. So I was walking in the redwood forest, had been camping there for about 7 days. It was a pretty good walk, like about 4 hours. Like we went deep into the redwood, so it was like 2 hours in and 2 hours out. And I got deep into it, a couple hours walking, and suddenly I felt my chest kind of collapse or constrict. I felt like I was having chest pain. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like I was short of breath. Now, again, I had the foresight to go back. Yvonne was with me. I said, I'm going to walk back up the hill for just a minute. As soon as I got up the hill, it stopped, because sometimes you don't know if it's you having the problem or you've just stepped into an energetic imprint. So when I went back, there was nothing there. I moved back into it a little bit slower this time. I felt the intense pressure. Yvonne said, "Are you doing okay?" And I'm like, "Someone died here. I can feel that someone died here of a heart attack." And so once I passed through it, got on the other side, it released. When I got back and I could get a Wi-Fi signal, I did some research, and sure enough, there was a man, his wife ran out to it was in the 1940s, to try to flag someone down. By the time anybody could get there to help, he had already passed. So, is that a curse? Is it something that's like, oh, I wouldn't want that? But hopefully, just me sharing with you what I experienced to let me know, was this mine or not mine? You move back out of the field, you move back into the field. So it is a real gift. And it is true. It's like, well, I was able to validate my experience, but what it does for me, it lets me know when I have another experience like that, it's highly likely I'm intuitively picking up on things. And like cold, stagnant energy, like you may notice that there's cold, stagnant energy. And it can be beneficial to notice when things are uplifting, or you can help clear out the stagnant energy. But understanding, this is exactly what I'm saying, understanding these abilities empowers you to be able to take steps towards your own self-care and to support yourself on the journey. Okay, integrating and honoring your clear feelings. Now, I want to go a little step further, because with this super galactic wave that's coming in, and someone described it as a whiteout blizzard snowstorm. And I think that's the best way to describe it. As humans, we might not notice anything. So I just want to say that. And I'm very excited about these new neutrinos, is what they're called, where these little galactic balls, sparks of pure energy that just even pass through the sun, pass through all the planets, pass through all of us, billions pass through us all the time. And they're so full of knowledge. Well, now imagine this bigger surge coming through, and it can spark and awaken. Well, your second chakra is where clear feeling comes from, but that's not the only sensations that come from your second chakra. Sexual energy comes from your second chakra. Creative energy comes from your second chakra. Male energy, female energy, which we all have male and female, just some might have more male or more female. And being in a male or female body does not dictate that you're going to have more, if you're in a male body, that you're going to have more male energy. But that's a whole other story and a whole other teaching. But these activations of the DNA, for those of you who are sensitive, you're going to get much more detail in your clear feelings. And it's my sense it's not going to be as overwhelming as it has been in the past, because your consciousness is moving to another dimension, like the fifth dimension. So many emotional patterns are coming through, the ways that you emotionally express, even how you may avoid going places because you don't want to feel that energy. I'm going to encourage you to do a little test. Test it out. If you are sensing it's like, all right, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see, since this blue photonic lights are coming in, give it a little time, a couple of months, and then go back out into those places where maybe you were too sensitive to go to before. And I would love for you to write in the comments section if you found your sensitivity more manageable. So I've shared with you a few stories where I worked with my own clear feelings, and I've encountered many moments just like those that have helped me to shape and understand with a depth of clarity about my own sensitivity. And there have been times where I have walked in a room and I'm like, yeah, I can't stay here long. I know how to work with energy, for sure. And I know how to raise the vibration of the energy in the room. But if I'm going to go there to have a good time, I want to visit in a party. It's like sometimes when you start to go do a healing, it's like people can get more stirred up. So you kind of have to use your intuitive senses, of which your intuitive senses are going to really accelerate in accuracy. So I've experienced tangible differences spending time outdoors with the natural elements, communicating in languages that go beyond words through feelings. These experiences have taught me that clear feeling isn't just about receiving information, it's about forming a symbiotic relationship with energies that surround you. So I encourage you to reflect in your own life, think about these moments and times where you have felt something that maybe you couldn't explain, especially by logic alone. And so these experiences are going to enhance your intuitive compass, pointing you towards a richer, more connected life. So with clear feeling, clairsentient, you are, because it's the creative chakra as well, you're going to be manifesting really, really well with much more accuracy. I remember I was doing readings. Let's see, I had probably been doing psychic readings for about 5 years. And I didn't totally understand what it was like to be an empath, but there was someone there very sensitive to feelings. And I went to tune in, I'm giving the information, and then suddenly I hear my spirit talk about just how sensitive they were to feelings. And then my spirit said, one day, very soon, the empaths are going to rule the world. And I've never forgotten that. And what does that mean by rule the world? Well, for me, what it means is it enhances your ability to be more connected to the earth, and you model that for other people. It's like if you go up to a tree and you're sensitive and you describe that, then maybe somebody else wants to go up to the tree and they'll say, can you show me how you did that? Can you teach me how you did that? When you're an empath, you're really anchoring the light into the earth. And as this blue galactic light codes are coming in, they are coming through everything, and they are just making that deep dive right into the earth, and it's changing the feelings and the sensations and the frequencies that are coming up through our feet as well. So you have a lot to share with others. So anyway, for those of you not familiar with clear feeling, not familiar at all with intuition, just try to pay attention. Now, it's still not my strong suit, but I have created a stronger relationship with my feelings. So take care, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on all the other of the series of enhanced intuition that we're going to be awakening to. So I look forward to seeing you on those videos.